How you doing, everyone? It's John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis live. Doing my blog today. And I think it's my 10th show, so we'll go with that. A couple of things I want to talk about. Some sports right away. Joe Booney would like this up in Canada. He's the sports guy. A couple of good things come out in sports today. Good for me here. My team, Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger is says he's coming back for another season anyway, which is good. I think he deserves to come back, and he was devastated by the season, but I think if he can get the team and get the team together, and I think he'll have a lot better season next year. So I was glad to hear he wasn't just going to bow out or quit, because it almost looked like he wanted to pack it in, but that was a terrible ending for the season. For the Steelers. And another thing that was announced was, I think it's J.J. Watt from, I think he's from Houston. Now he's going to be going to the Arizona Cardinals, and I think he got a $22 million contract for 2 years, something like that. Good for him. That's someone we could have used on the Steelers, but anyway, that was the only news I know in sports today that was the latest sports. Other than that, we'll talk a little bit about Texas and the way we had an emergency here a couple weeks ago with the big storms and snowstorms and blizzards and the cold weather. And I'm telling you, it was pretty awful. It really shook up the whole state because people had no power. Their water pipes froze. Everything else was no fresh water. And, people were cold. They didn't have proper heat. But we're not used to that down here. Like, it's back to normal now. We're pretty well back to normal temperatures for this time of year. But that was something else. We hadn't had anything like that in probably over 100 years. Usually we get a little bit of snow, but it's like half an inch of snow and it lasts for one day or whatever. But that was a hell of a time we had. But everyone pulled together as best they could. It was double bad because of the COVID, but people helped each other out. I know Ron and I were out delivering bottled water all around Lubbock area, trying to help out people in the county, especially the rural people out in the county, outside of the city. Mostly we did that. People in the inner cities were same thing. People had bottled water, and thank God we have bottled water. Like, people talk about water bottles being a biggest source of plastic pollution, but when it comes down to having fresh water, at least we have the bottled water today that we can have, and we know it's safe to drink. It's sealed containers, you know what I mean? There's a lot of problems, but things have bounced back, but I think it shook up our state and our government and here in Texas, and they're probably going to look into how come the power grid was it failed us so much with the electrical and just everything, but we're going to have to look at all that stuff. Don't want that to happen again, but we can handle it. I guess it was pretty rough on some people, but I'm sure that people that have insurance is going to cover them for a lot of losses with the water and pipes breaking and stuff, but it was an awful time, but we don't usually get weird like that. We don't get that, but that was something else, and just want to throw that in, and a lot of people were helping people out, and it was good to see people helping other people. That's the American spirit. You help your neighbor when they're down. If you have more than them, help them out, give them a hand, whatever. And we tried our best. We did our little bit. We tried. Me and Ron did a little bit of that, and it makes you feel good just to help people out. We were lucky we have backup generators for the farm, because it could have been devastating, because a lot of our stuff is automated equipment, which has to run on electrical. But we had backup generators. We're lucky, but most people don't have that, and they're pretty expensive. Not too many people have them unless they have a business anyway, that they need to have refrigeration or, mechanized equipment. But anyway, it's a good idea to think about it. Some people can afford it. It'd be a good idea. If you lived out in the country, and wouldn't be a bad idea if you could afford to have a backup generator. You can get them run on propane or natural gas, or the old style like we had was the diesel generator with the diesel fuel, but whatever way it goes. But it was quite a time. It was tough, but I think people stepped up. A lot of people stepped up to help their neighbors out, which was nice to see that, especially during the COVID times. It's bad enough we have that to deal with, but it was like a over-the-top deal. But we did it. We got through it, and things are coming around back. Now it's been about a week or two now, and it's they're cleaning up anything, and I think things are getting back to normal anyway. But back to normal temperatures anyway, which is nice. But other than that, what are we going to talk about? I want to talk about something today. It was on my mind. I want to talk some federal politics here. I want to talk about our ex-president. He's still a president in my mind, Donald J. Trump. Republican, proud man. I think he got screwed on the election. A lot of people do too. It was a stupid election the way they did it. Never done before, and I hope they never do it again. And I really think he got ripped off. I don't think at normal times it would have been reversed. I think he would have won that election, but that's the way it goes. But anyway, he did a great speech on you call it CPAC, a conservative political. Anyway, the Organization for the Republicans. Anyway, he did a little speech here, and it was a long speech, but he covered everything. And he got to speak his mind because he was in a safe place where he didn't have being ganged up on by the leftist media and all that, or the Democrats. There was none of those there. It was only supporters for Trump were there. Republican people that vote Republican, and they were there. It was like a super rally. He got to speak his piece, and I agree with him about 99% of what he said on this speech, because he went over everything, that all the stuff that they were trying to do when he was in power with the Republican Party, all the things he was involved with to make the country great again, or at least to strengthen the country, make it better for the people that live here. And he says Biden's just ripping it all down. He's throwing out everything out with the bathwater that was the Republicans started. It's almost like, it was just terrible what was going on. It's criminal. I mean, they're going so far left. It's some people would say he's going to be, wants to be a socialist country or a communist country. Like, we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be like China, But he's throwing out everything. And the climate change. You know what? Yeah, the climate is changing, but why should we be punished for that? You know what I mean? With high gasoline prices and all that stuff. He's, like you can only have so much windmills, as they say, and they don't work half the time, only when it's windy. Solar power, it's a good thing, but it's, to set up a power grid with solar would take forever. But you're still going to have electrical. You're still going to have diesel and gasoline for fuels for a long time yet. It's going to take a long time where they can make electrical vehicles that are efficient, that can run long distances. They don't now. They don't go very far. They're okay in city for inner city stuff, but they're no good for long distance. You know what I mean? We still have a big country. We've got to ship things by truck, long distances. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's the Democrats are ruining everything. They want to be, they want to go that far to the left that they're throwing out all this good stuff that the Republicans started the last, 4 years. They're throwing everything out. They're just canceling this and that, changing everything. They just no thought put into it. They just have their own idea, and it's only a few of these. I'll tell you, I don't like them. A few of these nitwits. There's about 6 or 8 of them, the top Democrats. As far as I'm concerned, they should get rid of them all. They should all be fired because they don't deserve to even get the big money they probably get, and they don't give a damn about the little guy that works at the grocery store. They don't care about that. Do they care about the gas prices going up to $2, $3, $4 more a gallon? That's good. They want to see that. With this climate control, we don't have to be part of no one should force upon us to be part of the Paris Accord for the climate change. It's just a big pile of crap. It's like, you have to be part of this gang because they're right and we're wrong. Well, it's not true. And that to me it's against the energy industry, to be honest with you. It's like people are going to lose their shirts on this. All sorts of stuff, I'm telling you. But Trump had a great rally, and he talked about all this stuff, and he got to talk his mind, all the things that are wrong with the Democrats, and I think a lot's wrong. And I think they're going too far, and they're going to go too far. And if people wake up and see what happens in the next few years, I think they'll kick Biden's ass right out of office. Maybe before his 4 years, because I think he's washed up. He doesn't put any thought into nothing. And if he's all he's doing is listening to these few people like Pelosi and Schumer and a few top people, and they're just burnouts as far as I'm concerned. They have no clue what goes on in reality in American life. They're so far beyond it. They must be that far insulated from the average person on the street. They just think it's their way or not. Well, too bad. It's not the American way, but they're ruining everything. That's what I want to say. And I think that Trump's going to come back. He almost pretty well said it in his rally that he's coming back. He'll run again if he gets a chance. I think that's a good thing because he stands up for America. He stands up for tradition and the rule of law and what's right and what's wrong. And you know what I mean? And he doesn't dilly-dally around the bush. But boy, oh boy, the way these Democrats are talking right now, and it's just starting what's going on. They've repealed half the stuff that the Republicans brought in the first place in the last 4 years. They just throw it out. Oh, we don't want that. Gone, gone, gone. There's no teeth in anything no more. No law, no this or that. No, can't have a bit of a, what's the word, traditions at all. The culture, it's all going out the window. I mean, I don't know. It makes me sick. I don't want to see it. I just don't want to see this society go down that route. But it looks like that's what they're going to do. At least that's the feeling I get. And it's what the actions they've taken so far. They canceled the big pipeline. They've done all sorts of things that are just, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking about. There's one thing to think about the climate change and, the energy and all that. That's fine. But don't just throw out one industry for the new one right off the bat. It's a transition. It's going to take years for us to get to the level where we can slowly get away from the fossil fuels and all that. It's going to take time. Again, as I said, you got electric vehicles, but they're no damn good as far as distance. They won't go anywhere. They're okay in a city situation, a little car you can drive around town on a charge for a day or something. Then you got to recharge it anyway. How are they going to deal with the long distance trucking? You need powerful vehicles to truck stuff. That's how our whole economy is set up on. Even if you tried to use trains again, which they still use for big bulk stuff, but they're, same thing. I mean, they're big machines. But I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't. I just like to say that I was impressed with Donald Trump when he got to speak his mind, which was really good. How he got swindled out of the election, the whole bit, how they were against him from day one, the media as well as the Democrats, and how far they out of reality they've completely gone against the American way of life. And that's all I want to say today. And I agree with Donald Trump. I'd say 99% of what he said on this speech was pretty well right on. Pretty never going to be perfect, but I mean he covered it well, and he got to speak his mind with nobody bugging him, no reporters heckling him, and no Democrats shutting him up. He got to talk in front of his own people, and it was really good. And I think he got to speak. He got to say all the stuff that he hadn't been able to say for the last few weeks since he's got kicked out of office. So I think he's going to be back, and I hope so. At least him and his main people in the party will have to rebuild, and we don't want to see America going down the toilet, which is what's happening right now with Biden administration. Right off the bat, it started to go downhill, which is unrealistic. A new guy in power, you wouldn't think he'd do that kind of stuff. But, oh, yeah, he's not the man for me, that's for sure, and he's not the man for over half of the country, at least maybe more than that. Didn't even vote for him, yet they somehow managed to get in with that crappy election system they had. They got to throw that away. That was a bunch of joke, that was. So, anyway, I just want to say that's it. John Laurinaitis, just want to put a little spiel in. And I support Trump 110%. And that's all I got to say. It's John Laurinaitis saying goodbye from Texas. Bye.